It gives me great pleasure to say that Powerful Group is the world's first ROI-based collaboration and networking platform scientifically designed to connect visionary investors with high-potential entrepreneurs. With our Project Humanity, our mission is to empower lives and create a better life and better future for all. I am Vasu Pawar, CEO founder of Step to Step Up Incorporated. Dr. Shah brings a wealth of medical expertise and deep dedication to humanitarianism to his work. A renowned professor of anesthesiology and critical care at Loma Linda University Health in the US. Dr. Shah's career is marked by commitment to both clinical excellence and global service. He has spent over 32 years serving as a dedicated physician at the Long Beach Veterans Affairs Medical Center, providing exceptional care to veterans. Beyond the hospital walls, Dr. Shah has embarked on over 860 missions in 26 countries, personally traveling to 18 of them to provide medical care and support in various humanitarian efforts. Dr. Shah's humanitarian efforts are undertaken via Aparigrah Foundation, a nonprofit organization that he started in the US, along with his co-founders, Mr. Rohit Vora and Mrs. Keena Gandhi. Welcome, Dr. Nitin Shah, to our platform, The Powerful Group. Due to my background in business and finance of 35 plus years, my personal focus has been to fulfill entrepreneurial dreams of our young adults. Also, my dream to create a platform that benefits all industries to scale and sustain their visions. It is universally known that most Indian parents have pushed their children to either be a doctor or an engineer. Everything in between was a mirage. How did you make medicine your chosen field of study or your career path? What drew you to this specific career path in anesthesiology? What is the most rewarding aspect of working in anesthesiology?
Sure. I will answer your first part first because I like your statement, Vasuji, about many parents, not only back in India, but even in the US. They want their children to be engineers, doctors, etc.
Yes.
I was no exception when I was growing up back in India.
Oh, wow.
And I became doctor primarily because of my family's wish. The story is, I studied in Baroda, MS University, and out of 1,200 students we were in a first-year college, first 45 will be offered direct admission to medical school. I happened to be 43rd, and all my family knew about these numbers, and I did not even have a choice. If you give me my 50 years back, I would like to do chemical engineer, MBA, do business, and then do charity. But anyway, destiny had some other plans for me. So when my ranking came out and I was offered a medical school admission, everybody in the family said, you're going to be a doctor, because there was no doctor within a wide range of our family. So that is how I joined medicine. I did not have courage to say no. And as a result, I really was just barely above average medical student until I passed my final MBBS back in India. And then what happened, because I wasn't a great student, I didn't study as well, I did not have enough grades to do any post-graduation first time around. Luckily, they also offer an opportunity 6 months later, and that's when I could manage to get into anesthesiology, and I certainly have loved that part. I will give us a fun way of putting what we do. We put people to sleep and wake them up. And,
I know.
And of course, after we wake them up, we send them our bill. So, and if you don't wake up, sorry, you won't see the bill, but the family will. Joking aside, I have certainly enjoyed being an anesthesiologist, and I won't go into the details, but I will mention what brought me to this country was actually my late wife's disease. She suffered from breast cancer at a very young age. She was 29. And she was also an anesthesiologist from my college. So when she had that, we lived in Africa, Zambia, and then Zimbabwe for a total of 7.5 years. And I came here to get her treatment done. And in the process, thought of applying because I always wanted to do research. I had done good amount of research during my residency back in India, which was very unusual in those days. But in 3 years, I had produced 8 research papers. 2 of them we presented in 7th World Congress of Anesthesiology. So I fell in love with anesthesia research, etc. And between 83 and 86, believe it or not, I had applied 1,000 applications to all the major institutions, academic institutions in United States. And I just happened to be lucky for literally last day before I was leaving country for good. And I got a job offer at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. And that was a research position that I wanted. And that's how my journey in the US started in New York.
Wow. I had the same experience as you. You know how everybody was going into the artificial intelligence thing, or into technology. It was really called computer science then, okay? Now they call it something different, but it was called computer science. And because everybody was going in the computer field, I did the same thing. And a year and a half in the job, what happens is I wind up being asked to help in the finance field by the controller of the finance. And she pushes me to do that. And I said, hey, my whole background is nothing there in finance. And how do you want me to do something of this kind? And she's, please, she starts pleading. So I said, okay, fine, I'll help you. So I did the same thing and I tried to help her. And it's interesting to know that they were after her for the financial statement for the longest time. And she could not do it. And I went to her desk. I figured it out in 2 days, got the financial statement ready. And guess what? The owners of the company, they made me the finance controller. So for the 35 years, I've been a finance controller and I've taken all of these companies to great financial heights. That's when I knew that my passion was in finance and not in the computer science. So nice to share that story with you as well. Majority of our medical students, wind up taking loans to pursue their medical studies, which they wind up paying for all their lives, as far as I know. How did you deal with that? And what will be, there will be a lot of young students who will be fascinated with them and choose the medicine as their career path. And what is your advice to them?
Well, if parents can't afford to pay for your education, and if your grades are not enough to get any scholarships, you have no choice but to take loan. You can certainly try and work through your medical school a little bit to offset that, but you will end up with a debt when you graduate. And that's, I would say, part of life. You certainly achieved your dream of what you wanted to be. And fortunately, as a doctor, you will definitely make good amount of money, and you just have to put a part of it on a monthly basis that goes towards the loan. From what I know, the interest at least doesn't start until you start making money. So you're literally paying off the basic loan. And then, of course, if you take time, then you will end up paying some interest as well. But I don't think there is a way out here. You just have to balance with what you're making and what you need to make the payment for.
So have a sort of a discipline in life, right? So to manage it.
Yes, I would say maybe you should put probably 2 years of your life after you finish your residency aside. And what I mean by that, we all lived in our resident salary, and that's good enough to sustain ourselves. Just think, you are making the same amount of money for next 2 years. Your life is going to be limited like that, and yet you have the extra cash that you'll be paying off towards the loan. And those 1 or 2 years will not change a whole lot, and that will take your debt away rather fast, rather than as soon as you finish your residency. Let's say you're making 40,000, now you're making 150 or 200,000, and if you start spending that money, it will take a longer time to pay off loan. But if you just think, this is my fellowship towards my loan for a year or two, which sometimes you do anyway, like I did critical care fellowship. Same way, if you think that, then you will curtail your spending and you'll be able to get over that loan pretty fast.
That's good advice. Life is said to be extremely stressful for a doctor, from what we have heard. Is a talk of the town that doctors pay little attention to their family life. As an anesthesiologist, what was your level of stress and what causes the stress? How can medical students balance their time, prevent themselves from being stressed out, and live a passionate life?
A lot of it is, in my opinion, Vasuji, mind over matter. You have chosen this field. Nobody pushed you into it. Like me, that I can complain, but otherwise. And I loved anesthesia the day I joined back in Baroda, India in 1979. So I had no complaints after that. But if the history is to be said, I do mention that I became because my family wanted me to be. Coming back to your point, yes, I think if you take your life and work and family as part of your life rather than separating them and taking work as a duty, these are all convoluted words, and I'm not trying to confuse or mix anything. But for me, going to work to give anesthesia is just part of my life as much as taking care of my family. As a doctor, as an anesthesiologist, you certainly have to do night calls and shifts and work and things like that. So there are challenges. We all have to figure out about balancing. And I think the important advice I can give you is you have dedicated yourself to a profession which certainly has its own demands. And family will make some compromises towards your demands. I happen to raise a child as a single parent because his mother passed away when he was 8 years and 9 months. I briefly married, didn't last, so from age of 12 until I think 20 years, I wasn't married for. So he certainly had that challenge of not seeing the father and not having a mother for an extended period of time. I was certainly fortunate that my parents lived with me before my wife passed away. So there were people in the house, but obviously parents coming from India without much American background had their challenges, but at least he wasn't left alone type. And I still continued what I did, and I started my journey towards humanitarian missions also during that time. So the bottom line is we all have 24 hours. We all have to figure out the priorities. Family is extremely important, no question, and the same way job. But if you take your job as working, then there is a problem. Just consider that's your second home. We all have to go to a home, right? And we all live at two homes. My office literally was my second home, or my wife that I married 11 years ago says that was my first home, obviously, until I retired. But we all figure out within ourselves about how are you going to balance that. In terms of stress, if you love what you do, literally, there is no stress. That's what I would say. I was never stressed at work. Yes, at times I did get tired if I had to work for 2 days, 3 days, etc., for longer hours, but no. And I think my upbringing from a Jain as a religion perspective, as well as watching my grandparents, especially my maternal grandfather. I spent 4 years of high school with him. Good things and bad things happen to everybody. When you are too happy with something, look at the people who are more fortunate than you. When you are too unhappy with something, look at the people who are less fortunate. And guess what? Everybody has both sides. And if you have trouble finding, contact me. I'll show you. So same way, if things are not happening right in the operating room as an anesthesiologist, I always think that can it be worse or can it be better? Trust you me, the answer will always be yes. It's just a matter of thinking and finding. And I certainly had a fortune time because I always remained in academics. So I always had residents and nurse anesthetists to work with. But more importantly, I could parlay these feelings and experiences, especially in stressful times, because anesthesia means life and death, and there is only 3 minutes difference between the two. And I could manage this quite calmly when the things were not going well. And many residents have appreciated that. But all of that is mind over matter. Good things and bad things happen to everybody. We just have to find a balance in life. And that's not only true for work, even for your everyday regular life.
Makes a lot of sense. Knowing that you bring deep dedication to humanitarianism to work, it seems likely that young adults are depressed, have low self-esteem, doing drugs, and even have suicidal thoughts. As an anesthesiologist, how difficult was it for you to maintain your stress level dealing with these type of patients? How did you react to highly stressful situations or deal effectively with personal stress to your job as a doctor? And how important is it for a doctor to listen to a patient's viewpoint?
It is a matter of accepting that there are all types of people in life. And I myself went through my own challenges with life and death of my late wife at a very young age. I do believe in karma theory, and it is our karma that leads us to good and bad. And of course, that doesn't mean that you blame karma and go and do drugs, obviously.
Yeah.
But I also believe that we also try to live or be, in simple terms, a good human being and follow the broad societal norms. I will never say do X, Y, Z or not, but if the society doesn't permit something, you should not do those things. Other than that, stress, we all find our own ways to handle stress, which could be different for different people. Some people like to just play, some people like to go walk. I remember young age as an anesthesia resident in India, when I lost my first patient on the table, I couldn't forgive myself. And the way I dealt with it, I just walked miles at that time for the next 2 or 3 days and kept thinking. And the answer, what could I have done differently? And yeah, there were some things, but nothing major. And that patient was destined because he had bad disease. So I ultimately giving thoughts and talking to yourself helped me a lot, and resolved to the fact that it was my karma, his karma, bad karma, my bad karma, and his destiny. And I was to be a nimit for it. I was to be an instrument for it, but otherwise he's in a better place.
You have devoted a lot of your time and efforts in humanity projects and organizations. What led you to make that decision? Were there any specific situations that you face in your medical field that drew you to in that direction, or was it some interaction with some patients that led you to this humanitarian initiatives?
I grew up with my maternal grandfather, who was a great humanitarian, and he had helped a lot of people silently. A lot of them we knew after his passing, actually at the age of 87. And there was one incident during my medical school, during my residence in anesthesia in India. In the interest of time, I will just mention two sentences. I was solely instrumental in leading a medical treatment for a 22-year-old engineering student who almost everybody felt will not live in the hospital that I was in those days because of the lack of facility of a ventilator. And I used some of the old devices and got 18 family members to breathe for him with those devices for 7 days and 4 hours. And that changed his life. He lived, he became an engineer that I knew, and of course not after that. But if I give you a simple sentence, serving an unknown gives you the most happiness. And that unknown whom you neither know nor expect anything in return from. And that's what I learned, practiced, and believed in those days in Baroda, India, and hasn't left me.
Wonderful. You have founded a non-profit organization, Aparigrah Foundation, with a focus on starting and scaling surgical and medical missions across the world. Please tell us briefly about that.
Actually, I will add another organization that was the first, that's called Anekant Community Center. Okay. And some members from Jain Center of Southern California. We got together in 2004 and started this in 2005. And the simple goal here was, I started my journey of humanitarian missions in Southern California in 1992, internationally in 1999, and mainly to India until 2006. From 2007, I've started going to many countries. And that organization is what we currently have, along with the Aparigrah Foundation, which we started only in 2022. Our goal is to serve anybody and everybody around the world. And I personally have traveled to 18 countries. We have helped in 26. The other countries are natural disasters mainly. And we are very focused in how we want to help, and we don't want to market or make it big in terms of talking about it. We rather believe in work, and I believe that our work should speak rather than us. And that's how we continue to do. This year alone, I've been to 9 countries so far doing humanitarian missions, and leaving on Monday for another trip to India and Nepal, again to do humanitarian missions.
Now, compassion can be a powerful catalyst for healing. You have spent 25 years of your lifetime to lead 350 national and international humanitarian missions. How rewarding was this experience for you? And how could you use this powerful group platform to amplify your message to the world?
Everybody has in their heart to serve others. Some people start early, some people start late, and there is nothing wrong. And more importantly, on everyday life, we do continue to do those things. We help our family, we help our friends, our co-workers, etc. It's just that I felt that I want to step beyond those boundaries, and I want to serve many others. And the same feeling, if you have, and I will say, it is a lot that you will hear from people. Our great forefathers and leaders have given a lot of different and important quotes. I think what we have been able to develop under Anekant Community Center from 2005, and just Dr. Nitin Shah from 1992 when I started this journey, I would think that everyone should think about what can they do for others every day of life. Granted, we have our family first, our job second, and then the rest. And yet, it's only us who will be able to find that balance. There is always time. If you have that in your mind, you will always be able to do something. Now, granted that we all do little things every day for others, if you feel, and I've come across many people who just don't know the next steps. They want to help, and yet they're not able to take that first step. And that first step, just like even a child, when a child is growing up and taking that first step, we all feel so proud, and I'm sure child feels too, except that nobody has been able to express that or record that. But same way, I think the feeling that you get by serving cannot be described. It has to be felt. And my appeal to anybody and everybody around the world, if you want to do something and don't know how, please reach out to me. I've got varied experiences, not only medical, but other missions, and will be happy to help you, guide you, hold your hand to whatever level. We've been doing that under myself and Anekant Community Center and Aparigrah Foundation. And we have helped, I will give you one example, doing healthcare. Of course, that's my main forte, to help people establish in Corona and Chino Hills, that is Swaminarayan Temple, Corona, which is a Sai group. And I helped them in early 2000s, 2001, 2. And after first 2-3 years, now they do every year. And I don't even have to help them as much, etc. So we will be happy to provide that help. We also learn from others, and we all can continue to do that. During COVID, we learned from Sikh community. They've been doing langar forever, and we wanted to do something for the underprivileged population in Southern California. And we started making fresh hot meals every Sunday. And we did it for 3 years, and we had to take a break for a variety of reasons, but we are hoping to restart from next month. But over 3 years, every single Sunday, we cooked 1,500 to 2,000 meals, and we served 355,000 meals so far. And anybody wants to do this anywhere, we'll be happy to help. We have a recipe, we have a method to the madness of how can you achieve that those results and success in serving unknowns. Thank you.
Awesome. I want to draw your attention to the world healthcare, which is changing. As we look through the lens of a biopsychosocial approach to healthcare, we are frequently amazed at the speed at which it's growing, and the science field especially, and the new innovations that occur in technological support and operative procedures. The artificial intelligence has been a major concern to a topic that has drawn a lot of attention, especially in the healthcare industry. What is your understanding of AI, and how do you think it can affect your field of medicine?
The AI has, like everything else, its own goods and bads. The most important thing is it's developed by human beings. So no matter how close it will get to the function of a human being, I doubt whether it will ever be able to overcome. Having said that, AI has made things certainly better for an average humans living in a corner. I'll give you one example which is years old and another just latest. I was in Delhi in Medita, I forget the name of the hospital, where I was invited to give a lecture in the critical care. And after the lecture, this is about 15 years ago, they took me to their little room where they had devices set up, and they were helping manage patients in a remote place. And thanks to Wi-Fi and availability of internet in India, they could do that. This was more than 200 kilometers away from Delhi. And that was possible because of artificial intelligence. And this is, I'm talking about years ago. Second, coming to the latest, I'm learning of a technology which will measure hemoglobin non-invasively. Now, I was involved in a technology before, which is already 15 plus years old, but this technology is latest, looking at your conjunctiva, right and left, and then averaging out to give a hemoglobin value. Now, that has been developed by feeding the data in artificial intelligence. So it averages the data out of 80 or 90,000 numbers from the color of the conjunctiva. That's possible only because of AI. Yes. So I think AI, if used properly, can certainly make a great impact in people's lives, especially in remote places, as well as in urban areas, of course, because otherwise for hemoglobin, you either have to prick a finger and do it, or you have to draw blood and send it to the lab. Both of them require kind of special people. Anybody just can't do that. But measuring this technology, anybody can do it.
For the benefit of our viewers, what will be your mission statement to them?
I think I will like to end with a quote, if you allow me for a minute or two.
Absolutely.
We all seek happiness in life. If you believe the Dalai Lama is quoted, I believe the purpose in life is to seek happiness. And me, born, raised Indian, lived in Africa, now American, and yet I had to go to China. I never traveled there to find what gives me happiness. And I would like to give that Chinese proverb to everybody. If you want to be happy for an hour, take a nap. If you want to be happy for a day, go golfing. If you want to be happy for a month, get married. Thank God my wife is not listening. If you want to be happy for a year, inherit fortune. Ladies and gentlemen, money will keep you happy only for so long because you can neither eat, drink, or sleep with money. But if you want to be happy for a lifetime, go help someone else. I will extend that to true happiness comes from serving an unknown. Years ago, when I told this to my daughter-in-law, she said, "Yeah, Dad, it makes you feel good, but it doesn't last." I said, "Yes, I know it doesn't last. That's why you need to go and do this every single day." Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shah, for your wonderful initiative that you have taken in understanding how important it is to give back to the community and serving your own medical field in so many different ways. And our viewers will be extremely happy to get in touch with you. So if anybody wants to connect with Dr. Nitin Shah, please go to our website, powerfulgroup.com/connect. And you can ask Dr. Nitin Shah any questions that you may have in any medical field or even the humanitarian field if you want. So thank you, Dr. Shah, so much for your time, your input and your efforts in coming to our platform here, the Powerful Group.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Appreciate this opportunity and look forward to questions.